The stakes are high for a Jonathan Huberdeau bounce-back season.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jace Medical, and thank you so much for joining me here today as we kick off player expectations, projections, and the consequences of the potential actions. But make sure that you are subscribed to Locked On Flames because we are back 5 days a week. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and, of course, on YouTube as well. Happy to be back. Monday through Friday shows now. Just like that, the summer is gone and we have camp kicking off next week. So today I thought that we could start with player expectations and how we need to look at things rationally rather than for the sake of your fantasy team, because you're a fan, because of any sort of emotional attachment, right? It is so important for us to look at the big picture here and also take a second to break down the key pieces. And today we are going to start with the Flames' most important player and a player that is on a short list of other players required to bounce back, and that is Jonathan Huberdeau. Last year was an incredibly unacceptable year for Jonathan Huberdeau. I don't know how many times anyone else, not even just Calgary fans and media, but quite literally everyone in the NHL can say it. 55 points from Huberdeau is unacceptable. That is not something that you can have. He is your top line left winger. Like, you need him to be able to produce more. Him playing better means a better top line. Better top line means more scoring, less work for Jacob Markstrom, and more winning. At the end of the day, we just need to get those 2 points. Huberdeau, I would say, is the most important player on this team, simply because of the cap implications. $10.5 million for the next 7 years, right? That's a long time. That is a very long time. That is a lot of money, and cap space isn't going up that much. But if you get him going right out of the gate, that means you get a good Elias Lindholm. And then you get a good, I'm assuming it's going to be Yegor. I would love for it to still be Tyler Toffoli, to be entirely honest. And maybe you get Matthew Coronato up there at some time. I think that Coronato would be an excellent fit just because of how lethal his shot is. And if you have a chance, I would highly recommend going back to watch, his highlights from Harvard or even from the prospect tournament this weekend. Absolute force to be reckoned with. I just don't think you can't do this without a full competent line. You can't. And maybe that's too much of an expectation to put on a young player like Matthew Coronato. But it would also be great to see Yegor kind of have that success, because he didn't have a good year last year. Sounds like everyone on the Flames roster, really. And he's looking to kind of prove himself, and be nice to see, 15, 20, 25 goals from him. So if Huberdeau and Elias Lindholm can get clicking right out of the gate, it will be good. It will be good for everyone. Huberdeau's playmaking skills are essential to this team. I don't think that anyone can deny that or try to argue with that. I think that when you lost Gaudreau, you gained, obviously, nothing for a week. But then when you lost Gaudreau's playmaking skills, you replaced them with Huberdeau, which is great, right? Of course, there is a little bit of an age difference. There is a little bit of a difference in player, obviously. But you aren't losing the playmaking abilities entirely. And for Jonathan Huberdeau to be able to bring that to the game, and not only just on 5-on-5, but on special teams as well, it's going to be key for the Flames to have success. Any sort of success, whether that means taking 2 points from Edmonton or maybe finishing in a wild card spot. You have to be ready. you have to be ready, and hopefully, the players around him are going to be just as tuned in as well. I don't see why they wouldn't be, but that hockey IQ is essential. It's not going to be something that you are able to just make up for. It has to be there, and I'm hoping with an offense-driven coach, we're going to see more of that from Huberdeau and really this entire team, because you need to win and you need goals to win. Coming up next, we are going to talk about defining success and what that will look like for Jonathan Huberdeau. And not even the Flames as a whole, but specifically Jonathan Huberdeau. Before we do that, I do want to take a quick break here to talk about Jace Medical. Everyone should be empowered to take care of themselves and their loved ones. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 antibiotics and gives you peace of mind so that you're not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have the medication you need on hand. Jace Medical is simple, and they handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication, licensed pharmacy medication delivery, and ongoing consultation and care. Save more than $360 by getting these antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using Locked On at checkout on jacemedical.com. That is JASE medical.com, promo code Locked On. Thank you everyone so much for hanging out with me here on Locked On Flames as we start the season. It is very exciting to be back 5 days a week, and I'm going to gear up with some expectations, some fun content with Nick. It's going to be a great time, and it's going to be a successful time, because you know why? This podcast is a success because you all make it successful. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? That was a horrible segue. I apologize for my corny humor, but we got to talk about these projections here, okay? I was looking to see what the experts are projecting Huberdeau to be at, this, like, his point totals this season, right? Obviously, we know he finished the season with 55. Gross. And then I saw that ESPN has him projected at 59 points. Just 4 more points than last year. That's not good. That's unacceptable. Anything below 75 is truly unacceptable. I mean, like, mid 70s is fine, but the goal is 85. I think it is something that he can accomplish. I think that it's 30 more points than last season, but with a coach, an entire coaching staff that is working with you rather than against you, and a team that is focused on offense and quality shots rather than just the volume of shots, you're going to see, again, more success. Do I think that this is something that is going to happen, by January? No. But do I think that this is something that can happen by March, April? Yeah, of course. I think that Jonathan Huberdeau has the full capabilities of getting back to that high 80s, low mid 90s range. I do not see him ever hitting 100 points again, unless the Flames magically acquire another winger or a true top-line center. He is not going to be hitting 100 points. And I think that for year 1 of this extension, we can manage our expectations with an 85. And, 3 years from now, maybe that's when we settle for the 55, 60 points. I don't think that is ideal for the Flames, especially with their window, but there are ways to navigate and work around that. The biggest thing here is, of course, Jonathan Huberdeau staying healthy. We know last season he came into the season with an injury, and it impacted him to the point where he was leaving games and getting treatment on the medical table, and that's not good. You want to be out there for a full game, obviously, and the more dinged up you are at the start of the season, the less time you really have to heal and catch up. And I get it. Hockey is a physical sport, but you want to make sure you're coming in to camp as fully healthy as you can be. I don't want to hear that you strained your back because you were playing golf. To me, that is, why didn't you stretch? Why didn't you stretch? You are an athlete. You knew the risks. It's not like you're like cliff diving. I don't know if the NHL has those sort of regulations and contracts. I don't think they do. Any risky behavior like cliff jumping, skydiving, anything like that. You've been doing this long enough. You know what an off season looks like. You know what to expect at the end of September. Yeah, accidents happen. And maybe that's me being too harsh, but I also think that the expectations are high. The bar is set high for Jonathan Huberdeau, as they should be. And is the bar high, or is it where it should be? And it just seems higher because of last year's performance. I think it's fine. I really do. I think that this is where the bar should be for now. And again, like I mentioned, future, we move the bar down a little bit just because he's going to be older. I do think that him having Elias Lindholm as a center will be good. Lindholm can take away most of the defensive worries and concerns, and Huberdeau just needs to be ready and prepared to pass the puck, to shoot the puck, to make those plays. It's not unreasonable to expect him to have at least 30 goals, 25, 30 goals, I would say. You're paying this man $10.5 million, and you want to make sure that you are getting every penny's worth. I truly hope that we see this bounce back. Otherwise, we are going to be stuck in an absolute nightmare of a contract, thanks to Brad Treliving. Brad did what he had to do, but maybe it wasn't the right thing to do. But with any of this, Huberdeau, just 2 seasons ago, Huberdeau scored 30 goals. And the season before that, it was like 26, I think. Don't understand why people are projecting him to be so low. To me, it's evident that he's going to bounce back. I think that with a healthy lineup, with the coaching working in his favor, working with him, not against him, having Mark Savard running the power play, this just feels like a recipe for success. And I don't want that to be lost on anyone. Jonathan Huberdeau absolutely needs to meet these expectations, but they're not unrealistic expectations. This team needs to make the playoffs. This Jonathan Huberdeau has to be the best player offensively on this team. He needs to be the point leader. I'm not saying 2 weeks into the season he should be, he should have like 25 points. I mean, that would be really nice. But he needs to be consistent. He needs to be focused. He needs to be all in, which I think he is. And we're not going to have the excuse of, oh, he's getting acclimated because he has said that he has a house now. He is acclimated. He spent time here this summer playing golf and everything else, and he's made it clear that he's acclimated. So there's really no excuse there. The human element still exists, but it's not as obvious and front-facing as it was for Yegor and Huberdeau last year. Coming up next, we are going to talk about what is on the line if Huberdeau does not meet these expectations, and if things maybe go a little haywire. But before we do that, I do want to take a quick break here to talk to you about FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting categories, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Sneak in some hockey bets, too. I was looking, and there's some already up for 30 goal scorers, who scores 30-plus goals and whatnot. So definitely check that out, and you can do that at FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. Visit FanDuel.com today. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us today here on Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jace Medical, and make sure you're subscribed wherever you're getting your podcasts, because we're here for you 5 days a week now. Oh, I just realized I still have writing on the back of my hand if you're watching on YouTube. Shopping list. Didn't have paper. And so I hope that we come back to this in January, February-ish, and say, wow, we were right. This is something that we can absolutely laugh at because we were doubting this. And I don't want us to say something awful like Huberdeau is done for the season because he has a locked up back and whatever. I keep blaming things on his back. Like I don't know if he has back problems. Those are just things that hurt on me. So that's what I'm saying. I hope no one takes that the wrong way. But what happens if things go south? You fold the franchise, maybe? You just kind of sink into like obscurity. You fold the franchise. You sell the team. You sell everyone that can, everyone's contract that can be moved. But this is the year that Huberdeau really, really needs to show that he's here and he's ready for it. The extension kicks in now. That $10.5 million cap hit that will hit his bank account at some point. Do they have direct deposit? Is that how that works? Anyways, it is unrealistic to expect 100 points. And it's also, I think, unrealistic to expect 50 points. You have to meet somewhere in the middle. And not because that is like the most mathematically correct way to solve this equation, but because of Huberdeau's history. It's right there. Last season was the worst season of his career. There is no doubting that. He has made it clear that he wants to bounce back, and he has taken the steps to bounce back. We have spent enough time looking at things so negatively, and you have to look at things rationally. I truly wish that I could just wipe out all the negativity from last season. It was bad. If you are new here, I am so glad that you did not have to endure that. And if you aren't new here and you're a returning listener, hi, welcome. I hope you're taking care of yourself because it was a lot. And a lack of offense. Let's get back to Huberdeau here. A lack of offense means a lack of wins. A lack of wins means lack of a playoff spot. You cannot afford to miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. This is not the time to be doing that. 5 years from now, sure, whatever. But right now, we have a lot to accomplish in the next 2 to 3 years. The Flames cannot miss the playoffs. Not because they're going to win the Stanley Cup or the expectation is for them to go in as severe underdogs and sweep the Oilers or whatever. Like, no. They have to prove everyone wrong because Craig Conroy was not aggressive this summer. He let the players dictate how the pending and expiring UFA contracts are going to go. Noah Hanifin was supposed to be traded, and now he's like, oh no, I'm ready to stay. Why didn't you trade him? Has he called Colorado? Talk about that goaltending situation. Missing the playoffs makes this team even less attractive to free agents and expiring contracts. Why would someone want to re-sign here when it's miserable? You aren't winning. Your owner's doing nothing to benefit the team. Your general manager is just not proactive. They just have to pick themselves back up and get there. They have to do this. And Jonathan Huberdeau, even if he is not named captain, he will be one of the strong leadership voices in that locker room. Everyone knows and respects him. I have never heard anyone say a negative about his character, not his performance, about his character, about his leadership abilities, about him as a person. He's a good guy from all we see, right? I think that them having a clear, defined leadership group will be great. Them having the change will be good. I don't think I've ever seen a group go back to Calgary as early as I've seen this group. We're turning this thing around, right? It's not going south. It can't possibly go further south, but it can. It absolutely can. And we have to avoid that at all costs. And the Flames are hopefully going to do that. If not, well, either way, we're going to be talking about it here on Locked On Flames, because I am happy to be here for you Monday through Friday. Nick is back tomorrow. We're going to be talking some more hockey and whatever news breaks between now and then. And maybe the Flames will only have 2 goaltenders. But until then, make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts. That way, you can stay in the know and up to date with the latest Flames news every day here for you Monday through Friday. And of course, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts and of course on YouTube as well. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and be kind.